Hello, I'm Jackie Jones of Jones & Associates Law, PC, your family fixer. Let's start the watch party. I don't know how to start the watch party. Every day with the watch party, right? So, let's begin with the first thing. Today's topic is how to still get arrested and go to jail during COVID-19. And I want to thank my good friend Dina Stoneberg for giving me the topic because I had something all innocuous and I was like, hey, quick question. Do you know you can still get arrested and go to jail during COVID-19? And she's like, girl, your topic should be telling people how to do it. So we're going to be a little tongue-in-cheek as we talk about a very, very serious subject. So let's get started. Hello and welcome to everyone who's here. For those of you who are watching the repost, I'm going to be also talking to the people who are on live because, well, they get to hear it. And it is what it is. So if you are on live, type me something. Let me know you're here because I love talking back. So let's start with some of the basic things we know. First and foremost, COVID-19 is a pandemic and it's going on all around the world. And one of the things that we've had issues with, obviously, is jails and prisons because that is another petri dish kind of place, much like schools, where people are closely confined and viruses and problems can spread like wildfire. So a lot of advocates, myself included, along with the group that I'm part of, have been trying to decarcerate. Hey, Dave, thank you for coming. And by decarcerate, what we mean is get people out of jail who don't belong there. Now, you know, you can have your opinions on whether someone should go to jail for this, that, or the other, but I'm not talking murderers. I'm not talking rapists. I'm saying if Tim stole some food from the ShopRite or whatever, that probably now is not the time for him to be in jail. Like, he can be at home. And why do I say that? Because obviously the penalty for shoplifting is not death, right? The penalty for a simple assault, like two people got in a fight, the neighbors got in a fight, is not death. And not that everyone's going to die from COVID-19. But again, we want to be very careful when we talk about incarceration, about whether or not people have to be there. And obviously what this is showing us is that everyone doesn't have to be there. But some of you seem really intent on getting yourselves arrested. Harsh light. What do I mean by that? Well, some people, despite the fact that they are doing everything possible in the courts to make arrests less likely and to make incarceration less likely, there are still some people who are doing everything. And so let's talk about how to get arrested and go to jail. Excuse me. I don't have the COVID. I did not take my allergy meds for the last week or so. Okay, so how to get arrested and go to jail during this, right? HOC. So let's talk about a couple of things. First, let's talk in Delaware County, where the courts are typical of other courts where they have an emergency order going. The Pennsylvania State Supreme Court put an emergency order in through April 3rd, which is, the end of this week. And courts have been able to extend it based on their individual orders. Ours went through April 14th in Delaware County, for instance. I know Philadelphia also has some similar things, Chester County, Montgomery County. I'm going with Delaware County because this is where I'm located. And if you have specific questions about surrounding counties, contact me. But a couple of things the judge did right away, our president judge did, was end jury trials. The jury trials are currently canceled. Obviously, all civil stuff. Like, nobody has time for civil stuff. Let that go, with the exception of things like custody, okay? But generally, if you are suing somebody, you're going to have to wait. Now, if you, however, had a criminal jury trial, and you usually have essentially a 365-day window under Rule 600 where it's supposed to be completed, what we're basically saying is we're just expanding the time period for these trials to happen for a while. We are not making juries come in, and we're not doing jury trials. Okay. Now, so you're thinking, okay, no jury trials. That's great. Well, it's not great if you get arrested, so put a pin in that. Now, we're also looking at partial confinements, weekends, people at community service and weekends, a lot of people would have those, DUIs, especially. We used to call it the DUI building because that's where the people who come in, and we say weekends, but it's not always weekends. Like, let's say I work weekends, so I come in Monday through Wednesday or whatever. Hey, Aisha, Lori, Andrew. So those people are also not going in right now. Does that mean they won't have to serve their time? Nope. It means when the COVID is calmed, they're going to go back to their weekends, right? So I know some people said they'd rather just do straight time in this time and get it all knocked out since they're not working. However, COVID has hit the local prison. So you don't want to do that either, probably, right, Melvin? So weekends have been stopped. Now, we also have an early parole order that's in place. It's not great. I mean, he's telling adult probation and parole to look at how they can help and what they can do. But as a general proposition, Delbert Hay, as a general proposition, it's like if you are within 1 month or parole or something, you can get like, if you're like, you can get a week off. And then there's like, if you're within 4 months, maybe 2 weeks, up to 3 weeks off. I mean, depending on where you are on that parole bandwagon, you can get out a little bit early. Okay, so it's not perfect, but we're talking about it. Juveniles, obviously, much more intense because juveniles are not supposed to be staying in, especially in pretrial kind of detention for more than a certain period of time without seeing a judge. So we're basically, hey, I see a DA on the line. So basically what we're doing with juveniles is we're trying to get them in. What the judge basically says with a timely disposition. So we want to dispose of it quickly. He's also saying pretty much within a week, we're trying to get juveniles in to determine whether they need to stay in our local juvenile facility or not. Those are really important. They're kids. We don't necessarily want them in a facility if we don't have to. But I want to talk about magisterial district judges because this is the front line and the first line of people who are arrested. So what usually happens if you're arrested is you get arrested, you go and see a DJ, like you have an interview with a bail interviewer, and then the district judge will set your bail. Right? And they set you up for a preliminary hearing. But first you have what's called an arraignment. It's not the formal arraignment because those are in media and they have all been canceled for now too. No in-person formal arraignments, still videos for prisoners. But you have this informal arraignment. That's when your bail is set. Now, usually there are judges who are in their own courts pretty much every day. And there are judges who are on duty for weekends and nights. They rotate. However, because we're in the midst of a crisis, we are not going to have all these judges out at all these courtrooms. So the president judge has issued an order rotating which courts are open and which judges are serving. So there are a limited number of courts that are actually open. You're going to go to one of these, this one in the east, this one in the west, this one in the north, south, whatever, right? And the judges are going to be rotating, the magisterial district judges are going to be rotating when they do these. So that means that I can get arrested and perhaps instead of me having a judge on for tonight, I may have to wait longer before my bail is set. So you may think, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to commit a crime or I'm going to do something stupid that it may or may not be a crime, but it may look like one. So therefore, I'm just going to cause problems, right? And you may have to wait to get a bail. You may have to wait to get a bail. And bails are being paid online. So maybe you have difficulty because your 86-year-old mother is the one paying your bail and she doesn't know how to get online and pay. I wish Terry were on because we can talk about the time that we had to go get someone's 80-something-year-old mother and drive her around to the banks and to the courts to get her son's bail. That was a mess. And I was like, I do not want people to think that I am scamming this old lady. Like at the banks, here's my card. I am an attorney. I am not some crazy black woman who's trying to take this $10,000 from this woman. I'm not. But long story short, and my puppy's just joined me, so I'm feeling kind of happy. Long story short, what you need to be thinking about is, am I going to end up sitting in jail when I don't need to? Now, I know a lot of people have talked about, well, they're not arresting people, or people say they're not arrested in Philadelphia, not arresting, whatever. I talked to a Chester cop, and she's like, I don't know what's wrong with these people. Like, stay home. We are still arresting you. Yes, the cops have the option to give you citations for some things. They have the option to send summons out through the court where they can say, okay, you have been charged with this. We'll give you a summons to appear in court later. But some things we are not going to wait for a summons for. Hey, I want you guys to drop a note here for me real quick. Tell me some things you think that someone can be accused of that they will have to go straight to jail and not wait for a summons. Go ahead. Type right now. We're interacting. While you're typing those things that you think you're going to go to jail, you're not going to wait for a summons. I'm going to give you some things that you might get a summons for. So, for instance, if you have a DUI, first off, you shouldn't be out driving right now. You sure enough shouldn't be out drinking and driving. Like, where are you going? You're not at the bar. You're drinking at home. You can wait. Okay. But in a lot of cases with a DUI, what they would do was they would draw blood and then they would send you home. They, drop you off at home and you get a summons in the mail later. Like, yeah, come to court. Right? Not a big deal. Sometimes it may be something where neighbors having disagreement, but, we're going to send you guys something in the mail. You guys come back and deal with that. Or, some kind of altercation, fight, mutual combatant sort of thing. Those kind of things you may get a summons for, right? So, and John, I see you came on too. Again, everybody drop a note in here and tell me what are some things that you may get an actual jail, go to jail and wait for court as opposed to getting just a summons. Come on, drop me some in. I want to hear what you think. I'll get it started. Murder. We charge you with murder. We're not going to send you a summons and tell you to come back, right? So give me some examples because I want to interact with my group. But for people and things that are more minor, or we have more of an issue where we don't believe that they're going to be dangerous, or we think they can show up to court, or we know how to get a hold of them. Like, we know you've been at this house for 20 years. You're not accused of something that's going to harm anyone. You're not accused of rape. We can get you after the COVID situation, right? You're going to get just a summons. So you're not going straight to jail. But let's say you are being charged. Assault. Josie, a good one. Let's say you're charged with aggravated assault against a police officer, because that's an aggravated assault. Robbery. Yes, you're charged with aggravated assault against a police officer. They're taking you to the court and they're going to be recommending a bail, and it's not going to be we'll send you a summons to come back. Robbery. Robbery is different than burglary, and that's a good one, Josie. Burglary, maybe I'm just stealing something from an empty warehouse or something. Robbery, I'm the stick-up guy on someone's person. I'm actually physically assaulting someone. That's dangerous. People are afraid that you might be dangerous on the street. You commit a robbery, you're probably going to, go on down to your formal arraignment, which, by the way, we don't know when it's going to happen because, as I said, the judges are rotating. Magisterial district judges are rotating. And then what's going to happen? You could end up in a situation where you're in jail. So there are so many situations where you could go from hanging out in quarantine at home, or we should be a home invasion, right? A home invasion, those kind of robberies are especially dangerous because think about it. We can't trust you to sit at home in quarantine because you could be harming other people who are sitting home and quarantining. So for situations like that, you are not talking about self-isolating until this is over. You are talking about being transported to a jail, getting a bail that is perhaps very high or unaffordable, and actually being incarcerated during COVID-19. So that can be a problem. Now, why am I saying this? Why am I, kind of tongue-in-cheek making this a little bit of a funny? I'm saying this because people are getting the wrong impression from looking at the news. People look at the news and they go, well, they're not arresting people. That is incorrect. They are arresting people. They're saying, well, if they arrest you, they're sending you home. That is not always correct. Some people are being sent home, but other people are being sent to jail. They may also be saying, wait a second, it's only for the most serious crimes. Well, on some level, yes, but there may be situations where even if it's not the most serious crime, you're not the kind of person they want to send home because you have proven that you are not going to respect society's norms during a time where we need you to stay at home. So if I am a magistrate or district judge and you come in front of me and you have done something showing that you are clearly breaking the stay-at-home orders and you are putting other people at risk while you do it, I'll give you something that would be minor. Let's say I'm in the supermarket and I'm spitting on food, right? Okay, you might get charged for that in a general situation. But here's the difference. In a situation like this, a magistrate or district judge may go, oh, you want to put people in danger. Or I heard someone recently was out yelling at the cop, and the cops tried to stop him saying, I have COVID-19, I have the coronavirus, or, something. And, trying to put people in fear of their lives, trying to cause mass hysteria. You might actually be jailed for that. Is it something ordinary? Sorry, people are calling my business still, which is good because I need people to call my business still. But you could be jailed. I forgot. I have it. It rings on my phone, on my computer, on my iPad. Sorry, guys. But you could be jailed for those sort of things. Anyone have any questions? Just drop me a line. I'm trying to see if there are any questions here. I just want to make sure that I'm not missing anything. I talked about the orders that are in place. I've talked about things that, people are not going to jail for. And I've talked about a little bit about how the process is working. But do you have any questions? Because I want to make sure I open up questions. I am going to do a talk about probation and parole coming up, because I know people are trying to figure out what do they do when they're in a probation or parole situation. So I want to make sure that we're on top of that. And I know some of you have difficulty asking questions because it is criminal. So for purposes of this event only, if you type a question, we assume that you mean your friend, not yourself. Okay, so just type in my friend, or we just assume it's your friend, and it's okay because we're not judging you. But I have been in my house and I have not had any opportunity to commit any general crimes. However, I could commit computer fraud at home. I forgot about that. I'm not good at it, so clearly I'm not going to do it. But that's another thing where the information could come to light while we're in the quarantine. Now, what could a magisterial district judge? They can order you not to have any access to the internet or something like that. But what happens if you still continue to do it? What happens if you continue to reoffend? That may be a situation where they say, well, we can't keep this person at home with their internet going because they're still committing the same crimes over and over again. So, like I said, it may not be major in the sense of what used to be considered major, but it still could be potentially damaging because of the situation we're in with this COVID-19 crisis. So, while I'm waiting for a few more questions, I want to give you guys all an update. Again, type questions or comments. Just make me feel like I'm not talking to myself. I live with teenagers. They don't talk to me until, after 5 or 6, like when it's dark, because they're vampires. Okay. One of them came down this morning and I was like, good morning. And she's like, so that's about all I got. So interact with me, please. So here's some updates I want to give you. As you know, my website is www.mychesterlawyer.com. No, I don't just work in Chester, but it is my roots. It's where my family's from. And it just is a reminder of where I used to be. So I still have mychesterlawyer.com. We have a resources page. If you scroll over to resources, you will see our pandemic page is at the top there. You can click there for all updates. What are you going to find there? You're going to find a highlighted video about documents you need during the COVID-19 crisis. You will also find my playlist. So this will eventually go up on my playlist of all the things that we are doing during COVID-19, information you need to know or your friends need to know. You can click on that playlist anytime. It's on YouTube. Subscribe to my YouTube channel and you won't have to wait for that. You will actually ring the bell and you will get notifications when new things go up. The other things on that resources page are a couple of orders from the courts. I may add more, some Labor Department information about, loans or what other things are going on during COVID-19, new acts, that sort of thing. So keep checking out the pandemic page. Also, while you're writing questions, and again, write questions. If you have questions, ask them now while I'm giving an update. Also, my newsletter went out this morning. If you did not get the newsletter, I did just post it, I think on my private Facebook page. I think I posted on my private Facebook page. I may have also posted on the Jones & Associates Facebook page. But you can also go to mychesterlawyer.com, sign up to get the newsletter right there on the front. When you get that, you will now get all future newsletters. So sign up, join us. What else am I doing? These are just some of the things we're trying to keep you occupied. Our custody boot camp will be up and running this week. All of the videos have been recorded and we are working on adding the written materials for that. So stay tuned for that. And we're looking at a couple of Zoom meetings. We did a thing on estate planning yesterday, and I think we're going to do a Zoom meeting to give people some more information about that. So stay tuned. And what else? Do I have any other things that you don't know about? Oh, I'm working too. I have to actually get back online and finish drafting things for clients. But thank you for joining me. If you have any questions, by all means, ask them here. If you're on the repost, just hashtag repost with your question so I know that I didn't get to answer it the first time around and I can answer it later. So thank you for joining me. Remember, as much as this is a tongue-in-cheek, jokey joke kind of conversation, do your best not to get arrested during COVID-19. And I'm saying this because even though we have a lot of things in place to get people out of jail, we are not trying to encourage new crimes. We are really trying to make sure that everyone knows to use their good common sense and stay at home. And if you don't, chances are you could be stuck in jail for quite a while. Okay? So, again, I'm Jackie Jones of Jones and Associates Law, PC, your family fixer. You have a great day. I'll talk to you tomorrow. And tomorrow's topic, who knows what tomorrow's topic is? I don't remember. No, I do remember because I keep everything up. So for tomorrow's Lunch and Learn, I'm going to look at it now. Tomorrow's Lunch and Learn, we are going to be learning about custody exchanges. Custody exchanges during COVID-19. Hope to see you there. Thanks.